Imagine a metropolis that sprang up from nothing just 5 years earlier. Now pack it with 40,000 frantic men squeezed into flimsy canvas shelters that ignite weekly. Throw in roads submerged in muck so thick that horses perish in it, their corpses abandoned to decay right there since no one's got the spare moments to bury them. Toss in round-the-clock gambling dens where wealth swaps owners in moments, plagues claiming lives by the hundreds, and lawlessness so wild that vigilantes string up suspects in open plazas, skipping any sort of court. Such was San Francisco in 1850, the quickest expanding urban spot ever known, a hub fueled solely by gold mania and avarice. A spot where you might amass a fortune-hawking pickaxes come morning, only to watch it all vanish in flames come dusk. Tonight, we're plunging into that world, not as sightseers eyeing cable cars or the wharf for fishermen. We're embodying it, day by day, through one individual's experiences, every sight, odor, sound, and trial they endured. Your eyes flutter open into pitch black. For an instant, perhaps a heartbeat, you've lost track of your surroundings. Then it slams into you. The odor. Not a single note, but strata upon strata. Canvas decaying in the endless moisture from the nightly fog, blended with acrid fumes from countless coal blazes in improvised cook stoves. The rancid reek of refuse heaped in alleys. With zero waste management, folks simply dump their refuse on the spot. The biting foulness of human waste from privies brimming over and seeping straight into the sludge. Lingering wood smoke from structures gutted in last week's blaze, still faintly glowing. The iron bite of new spilled blood from the nearby butcher who butchers livestock at first light. And, beneath it all, the musk of bodies unclean. 40,000 males jammed onto this narrow land spit, the vast majority skipping baths for weeks on end, including yourself. Greetings from San Francisco, June 1850, mere 5 months shy of California's entry as the Union's 31st state. You're sprawled on a straw pallet inside a tent pitched on the hillside overlooking Montgomery Street, sandwiched between the El Dorado gambling joint and a lodging house that demands $2 nightly for a bare board to crash on. You go by Thomas Whitmore, 23 years of age, fresh off a 7-month voyage from Boston, arriving with a mere $43 in pocket change. An extra shirt, a reference note to a trader called Isaiah Carna, and visions of striking gold that fizzled out in under 2 days. Stateside, all the talk was how San Francisco would line your pockets in a flash. They nailed the wealth part, just omitted that for every 100 guys chasing it. 99 wind up penniless, ill, or 6 feet under. Church bells toll already, not from a lone steeple but scores of them. St. Francis Church on Vallejo Street stands nearest. Its bell, forged in Mexico City and freighted over last fall, booming a resonant peal that pierces the mist for half a mile. Those are the mission chimes, incidentally. You might recall California mission bells from school lessons. They're fully operational by 1850. The Spanish erected these outposts beginning in 1776, and the bells have tolled for more than 70 years. Yet the rest of it, utterly fresh. The town encircling those ancient rings mushroomed overnight like toadstools after a downpour. January 1848, 500 souls. June 1850, 40,000. An 80-fold surge in under 3 years. Time to rise. Carna will tan your hide if you miss the shop's opening. And Carna's General Goods cracks the door at dawn. 6 a.m. in summer, 7 o'clock in winter. The sun's barely cresting, but the metropolis stirs with the clang of hammers from build sites. A brick depot rises on Sansom Street, the thud of timber dumped at the docks, yells in Cantonese from the adjacent Chinese washhouse, where laborers toil non-stop, 24 hours round the clock. Mules' harsh whinnies as they drag loads uphill, a lash's sharp snap, a hound's frantic yaps, a yell piercing the air, maybe a brawl, maybe a killing, maybe just hot air. You've grown wise enough to steer clear, the rough crate doubling as your flooring chills your naked soles. Your bunk mate, a lanky New Yorker by the name of William March out of Seneca Falls, hacks away in snores from his corner. The two of you split this 12 by 12 canvas enclosure, forking over $1 apiece per night to a slumlord who lords over 50 such setups while bunking in a grand home up on Rincon Hill. Yep, tent sharing's the norm. Plenty of clerks and workers pair up that way. Solitude. That's for the elite you can't touch. Digs in San Francisco outprice those in London or Paris. A decent chamber in a frame structure, $40 monthly, equivalent to 8 paychecks. Thus, you bunk in tents and count your blessings. William isn't one to toss and turn overnight or pilfer your things, at least. You rinse your face with water from the tin basin. It's chilly and murky. You hauled it up the previous evening from the communal well on Sacramento Street, standing in line for half an hour amid Chinese laborers, Mexican prospectors, Chilean traders, and an Aussie who wouldn't stop pitching his foolproof gold stake to you. No pipes deliver water around here, certainly not to folks like you. The San Francisco Water Company, founded in April 1849, caters solely to one district, the sturdy brick structures downtown housing the wealthy traders. You tote water 1 bucket at a time from wells that could harbor cholera. You boil it when it crosses your mind. Most days it doesn't. Your garments sit exactly where you stashed them, neatly stacked on a wooden crate. A cotton shirt that started out white back in Boston, now etched with a perpetual gray hue. Canvas pants bearing mud spots that defy even the toughest scrubbing. Wool socks patched over 3 times. Boots whose leather has split, letting rain seep in whenever it pours, which is non-stop from November until March. Your crimson flannel shirt stands as your sole point of vanity. It's a vivid red, picked up from a Chinese vendor on Sacramento Street for $4 that stretched your budget thin. Nothing extravagant, yet it sets you apart as a shop clerk instead of some raw laborer straight from the diggings. In this town, looks count for plenty, more than nearly everything else. The line between being taken seriously and brushed off hinges on a crisp collar. You dress in the pitch black. William shifts a bit, but stays asleep. Beyond the tent flap, boots crunch along the path. Workers bound for their shifts. Exclusively men. The population skews 95% male. The handful of women are typically minors' spouses, sex workers, or the rare upstanding woman who demands $5 merely to dance with you in the gaming dens. As you emerge, the fog begins to lift. That's the daily rhythm. Dense mist sweeps in from the Pacific each evening, cutting sightlines to just 10 feet. Then, by 7 or 8 a.m., the sun scatters it, exposing the frenzy below. You navigate downhill toward Montgomery Street. The road is pure sludge, not mere soil. Sludge. In the winter downpours, it turns so thick that horses and donkeys submerge up to their chests and perish. People have sunk and suffocated in it too. for real. The authorities attempted boardwalks of wooden planks, but residents snatched them for kindling. Last month, a vessel named the Niantic was hauled onto the tidal flats and repurposed as lodging. Its shell pokes out still, but now it's enclosed with walls, topped by a roof, and bearing a placard for $3 nightly rates. That's the San Francisco way. No leisure for fine construction. Just patch together and press forward. You go buy a tent where three fellows are warming beans on a blaze. One hollers, quote zero. That's 25 cents. Half a laborer's daily pay. Yet guys shell it out since Java is among the scarce comforts easing existence in this place. You decline with a shake of your head and push on. Bread's tucked in your pocket. Hardened, sure, but it'll serve for your morning meal. Montgomery Street forms the bustling core of San Francisco commerce. It honors Captain John B. Montgomery, who hoisted the U.S. flag here on July 9, 1846, as the Navy seized the outpost from Mexico in the Mexican-American War 4 years back. Merely 4. Yet this sloshy thoroughfare now boasts banks, inns, maritime agencies, and shops stocked with wares from across the globe. Karna's General Goods nestles amid a tavern dubbed the Verand and a solicitor's quarters. The shop measures modest, perhaps 12 feet across, 20 feet back, but it's fashioned from real timber with paneled glass. In a town where canvas shelters half the structures, that counts as solid. It fronts straight to the avenue, shaded by a canvas overhang shielding stock from damp. Inside, racks overflow with essentials for any miner. Pickaxes, spades, prospecting pans, cordage, fasteners, mallets, coverlets, flour in 50-pound bags, legumes, salt pork, ground beans, smokes, cure-alls, and card sets. Not flashy trade, but upright business. And Montgomery Street is prime territory for it. When you get there, the bells toll 5:58, and Isaiah Karna is already within, auditing stock. He's a sturdy sort, around 5 feet 6 inches tall, with skin toughened by seasons in tougher lands. Salt and pepper hair, keen gaze, fingers oddly refined for a man who's carted cargo these last 2 years. Those digits can gauge earnings margins simply by hefting an item. In 7 months, he's passed along roughly half his wisdom, leaving your mind reeling with details. Mark up math. At least 50% on implements, double for indulgences. Who dilutes their stock among suppliers? Who settles bills promptly? Which alleys to shun come nightfall? You're tardy, he mutters, eyes on his ledger. You're not. It's 5:58, and doors open at 6. He drops this line each dawn. You've quit firing back. You settle at the counter. The day's drill kicks off. Karna has no tolerance for laziness. As he pores over the ledger, adding up the previous day's earnings, you busy yourself wiping down the shelves, arranging the goods, and ensuring the scales are perfectly calibrated. Those scales are crucial. In San Francisco, every item gets measured meticulously. Whether it's gold dust, flour, coffee, or tobacco, it's all traded by the ounce or pound. A slight imbalance could cost you dearly in lost profits. Worse yet, it could tarnish your name for dishonesty. And in this town, a solid reputation outshines even gold as the true wealth. The shop carries the scent of canvas and lamp oil, with tobacco leaves stored in jars lining the rear wall. Pleasant aromas, really, far superior to the odors outside, even better than your tent. Over time, you've started viewing this modest 12 by 20 foot space as a refuge. Here, amid the frenzy, you feel shielded by sturdy walls, daily habits, and the security of purposeful work. Customer, Karna announces. You glance toward the entrance. A miner lingers in the threshold. His identity is obvious from the thick mud on his boots, the faded red flannel shirt, and the telltale swell of a leather pouch tied to his waist. He's fresh from the claims, likely trudging through the night to make it to town. That's common for these men. They toil in the gold fields until they've scraped together enough dust to justify the journey. Then they hike 20, 30, or even 50 miles to San Francisco, cashing in their haul and restocking essentials. How can I help? You inquire. Looking for a pan. A solid one. None of that flimsy tin junk that breaks on you. You direct him to the selection. Karna's line up in 3 tiers. The basic tin models for $2, the sturdier iron versions at $4, and the top quality copper ones for $7. The miner lifts the copper pan, inspects its craftsmanship, and hefts its balance. Where's it from? Connecticut. Came around Cape Horn. Copper-bottomed and hand-riveted. Take care of it, and it'll serve you a decade. He's paying attention. Encouraging. The iron options cost less, you add, but they corrode over time. Copper holds up without rusting. And after hours knee-deep in icy streams all day, the last thing you need is gear giving out. Facts like these ring true. Lessons Karna instilled in you. Honesty seals a single deal. Straightforwardness builds loyal trade. The miner deliberates with a slow nod. $7. $7 it is. He dips into his pouch, extracts a small leather sack, and spills gold dust onto Karna's scale. You weigh it with precision. Exactly $7 worth at $16 an ounce, roughly 7/16 of an ounce, or about 13 pennyweights in the traditional scale. You transfer the dust to Karna's jar, log the sale in the daybook, and package the pan in brown paper. Best of luck back there, you tell him. He acknowledges with a nod, grabs his purchase, and vanishes into the bustle outside. That's your opening sale of the shift. Expect around 50 more by day's end. The hours slip by in that steady cadence. A carpenter selects nails. A 10-pound lot at 12 cents a pound. Wholesale. They ran Karna 7 cents each, so retail brings 5 cents profit per pound, 50 cents overall. Modest margins, sure, but they accumulate. Then a woman, uncommon visitor, picks out blue cotton fabric, requesting 10 yards. It wholesaled at 30 cents per yard. Karna prices it at 90. She haggles down to 70 cents, netting 40 cents profit per yard, or $4 on the lot. How about 80 cents, you propose? This came straight from New England mills aboard the Flying Cloud. Prime quality weave. Feel that heft. It'll craft gowns built to endure. 75 cents. 75 it is. And I'll throw in matching thread. Fine silk variety. The thread might run 8 cents, but it's a small price for sealing the deal. Agreed. You cut exactly 10 yards. $7.50 altogether. She settles up with silver coins, real money, no dust, and departs content. Karna records the transaction wordlessly, though his gaze conveys quiet endorsement. You're picking it up fast. Nearing mid-morning, Karna assigns you a task that knots your gut. Head to Happy Valley, he instructs. Collect that shipment from Wong's warehouse, 20 dozen blankets. Payments handled. Just grab the receipt and sort the delivery. Happy Valley. The label's ironic, laced with sarcasm. It's the sprawling tent settlement south of Market Street, nestled in the flats between Rincon Hill and the Mission, dubbed Happy because the earliest prospectors in 1849 pitched camp there. Thrilled to reach California, the joy faded quickly. These days, it's San Francisco's grimmest, most forsaken quarter. Thousands of fellows crammed into tents and makeshift hovels. Crime runs rampant. The scant police force steers clear after sunset. Sickness races through the packed shelters faster than flames on tinder. You've steered wide of Happy Valley till now, but duty calls. The trek southward on 2nd Street clocks 30 minutes. Structures dwindle. Tents proliferate. The road devolves from pavement to a muddy track. You skirt scorched patches from last month's blazes. The debris lies abandoned. No one clears it. Too laborious, scant reward. The town simply grows around the wreckage and keeps pushing forward. Chinese laborers are all over the place, lugging water, washing clothes, and hauling burdens that would crush most folks. Thousands arrived after news of the gold rush hit Canton. These days, the majority toil as hired hands, 12-hour shifts for $1, or perhaps $2 if they have some expertise. You've overheard gripes from other men about the Chinese stealing jobs, toiling for peanuts, and not knowing a word of English. But those whiners tend to be the types who won't lift a finger for any pay, and just waste their time boozed up in taverns. Wong's storage building stands right on the fringe of Happy Valley itself, a sturdy wooden setup roughly 30 feet on each side. Wong's out in the yard directing his crew as they pile goods onto a cart. He's slender, around 40 years old, with a long braid and outfits that somehow stay spotless amid all the muck. His English is flawless, laced with a British lilt. He picked it up in Hong Kong, as he once mentioned to you. Mr. Whitmore, he greets you, spotting your interest in the blankets. Yes, come inside. The place is stuffed with merchandise. Blankets, of course, but also sacks of rice weighing 100 pounds apiece, crates of tea stamped with Chinese script, salted fish, odd roots and spices, rolls of silk, clay pots, and items you can't quite place. Prime quality, Australian wool, keeps you toasty. Your buyers will appreciate them. Here's the receipt. Wong adds, passing over a sheet scripted in tidy penmanship. 20 dozen blankets, Australian wool, delivered to Isaiah Karna on Montgomery Street. Payment complete. You fold the document with care and slip it into your jacket pocket. Next up, figuring out delivery. Those 20 dozen blankets aren't going to haul themselves. You spot a familiar Mexican hauler lingering by the building, a fellow named Rodrigo, with his own wagon and a team of 4 mules. You've hired him in the past, and he's fairly trustworthy. Rodrigo, I need these parcels shifted to Montgomery Street. He eyes the stacks, mentally figuring the load and the route. $5. That's highway robbery. The trip's barely a mile and the weight isn't overwhelming. But Rodrigo senses your urgency. And in San Francisco, wagon drivers demand top dollar whenever they can. $2 you fire back. 4, and I'll get them there today? Tomorrow, who knows? Maybe 3. But right now, it's 4. You run the figures in your head. Karna allotted $2 for hauling on deals like this. At $4, you're dipping into profits by $2. Still, any holdup spells later sales, and here in the city, waiting games drain more cash than a quick ride. $3, and they're at the door by noon. $3 by noon. I vow it on the Virgin of Guadalupe. Agreed. Captain, this rope hails from the hemp plantations in the Philippines, funneled through Boston and across to us. It's the toughest you'll encounter anywhere west of Panama. At 25 cents a foot. It's already a steal. Back in New York, they'd charge 35 cents for the 200 feet. That's as high as I'll go. 23 cents, and I'll throw in 50 feet of thinner cordage at no extra charge, perfect for 100 different tasks. That lighter line probably sets him back $6 for the bundle, a small concession that boosts the offer's appeal without denting margins too badly. The captain pauses, then agrees with a nod. They clasp hands to seal it. You cut the 200 feet of main rope, winding it neatly, and bundle on the extra 50 feet. Karna scribbles out the invoice. The captain hands over payment in gold eagles, those $10 coins fresh from the San Francisco Mint, minted just 2 months back. He departs content. Karna secures the coins in the safe. "Notice that exchange?" he asks you. "Yes, sir." You reply. What stands out? You reflect briefly. Don't accept the initial bid. Skip the first rebuttal, too. Keep an extra incentive handy, one that costs little but means more to the buyer. Quote 42 spot on. Now go verify those blankets. Rodrigo promised noon. Gridlock on California Street. Axle gave out. Held up the whole route for an hour. $350 hungry. Grab a bite. Return within the hour. We've got stock taking ahead. Inventory. The dullest chore imaginable, tallying each nail, wick, and measure to ensure the books align with the stock, but that's for later. For now, you pocket a bit of change and an hour to yourself. You make for a eatery on Clay Street, operated by a Chinese fellow called Lee. He dishes out rice with veggies, occasional pork, all for 50 cents, the most affordable solid food nearby. The place buzzes with patrons. It's perpetually thronged. Lee's grub hits the mark on flavor and price, a winning combo in this town. You squeeze onto a shared bench, seating's communal by necessity, with demand outstripping supply, and scarf down your plate. The rice clings warmly. The greens include bok choy and an unfamiliar sort, but it's palatable enough. No meat this round, though it hardly matters. Chatter swirls in half a dozen tongues. English, Spanish, Cantonese, French, German, perhaps Italian. San Francisco stands as America's most cosmopolitan hub, possibly the globe's, drawing folks from every corner. Only a scattering of native Californios remain, those old Mexican ranchero lineages predating the Yankee influx, now squeezed by the tidal wave of arrivals. You polish off the meal with 40 minutes to spare, so you stroll eastward to the harbor, drawn to a site you've delayed visiting. The Custom House. Understand this about the Custom House in 1850 San Francisco. It's no obscure outpost on a quiet lane. It's the pivotal federal outpost spanning Panama to Oregon, the mandatory stop for every vessel docking in the bay. Here, manifests get filed, shipments logged, and Uncle Sam levies tariffs on the monthly influx of thousands of tons of imports into California. Back then, those fees bankrolled all Western government functions. The building anchors the junction of Montgomery and California streets. It's a 2-level structure made of brick and timber. Nothing flashy compared to back east, but impressive here in San Francisco, where sturdy brick edifices remain uncommon and stand out amid the flimsier setups. You've strolled by it countless times without ever stepping in. Folks like you, simple clerks, rarely have reason to enter the Custom House, though nothing prevents a quick peek. The place spans about 40 feet across and 60 feet back. Not enormous, yet solid and imposing. Those brick sides suggest it'll resist the flames better than the tent-like shanties nearby. Of course, it could still catch fire. In this town, nothing escapes the blazes forever, but brick buys you more time than canvas ever could. Over the doorway, a bold sign reads, U.S. Custom House, Port of San Francisco, with American flags fluttering from staffs nearby. Pure federal business. A subtle nudge that this wild gold rush outpost is, in name at least, under United States rule, no matter how unruly it seems day to day. Crossing the threshold, you enter a realm of red tape. The central chamber buzzes with desks occupied by officials handling forms, vessel logs, shipment inventories, and duty assessments on imports from China, Mexico, Chile, Hawaii, the eastern U.S., and points beyond. Any craft docking in San Francisco Bay has to report here first, list its load, and fork over fees tied to the cargo's worth. Those fees mount quickly. For instance, a vessel hauling $50,000 in wares might owe $5,000 in duties, typically 10% on everyday items, higher for extravagances like silk or wine. And here in June 1850, arrivals are constant, vessels pouring in every day, sometimes more than one. The numbers are mind-boggling. Pinned to the walls are postings about incoming and outgoing ships, auction merchandise, tariff rules, and alerts on contraband. Smuggling thrives naturally. At 10% levies, incentives abound to dodge them. Crews report only partial loads and conceal the surplus. Skippers slip bribes to inspectors. Traders forge documents. Officials crack down where possible but often come up short. The stakes are enormous. With fortunes on the line and plenty eager to gamble penalties for gains, you linger by the door, observing the gears of national power grinding to tame the disorder. A clerk around 30, clad in a fine suit that likely ran $20, is sparring with a vessel's master over the stated price of some Chinese tea crates. The papers claim $10 apiece, but you've spotted identical leaves fetching $15 on Montgomery Street. Prices shift with the market, the captain replies glibly. Back when I bought it in Canton, $10 was spot on. And now you're flipping it for $15, a tidy 50% markup, while skimping on duties for the real worth. Quote 5 to, quote, business is business, friend. I hazarded the crossing. The earnings are mine. Inventory time. Discrepancies mean pilfering. Spot the mismatch. Correct it. Without fail. Quote 5-6. Be thorough when patting down your pockets if patrons crowd too near. Pickpockets abound. You've heard the warnings before. This city harbors expert crooks who snatch merchandise right from your grasp mid-transaction. Mental reminder, observe those hands closer. The day drags into the afternoon. Crowds swell. Deals multiply. Haggling intensifies. When Karna shuts the shop precisely at 6, no lingering buyers allowed. Your mind is fried from tallying costs, handling coins, and fielding queries. Solid work today, he declares, tallying the till. $412. Above the norm. He jots entries in the ledger, secures it all in the iron safe hidden under the floor, then eyes you. You handled the blankets nicely. Wong typically skimps on quantities. Did you verify? Absolutely, sir. 20 dozen, spot on. Excellent. Head to the wharf tomorrow once more. The Samuel Russell arrives from Boston loaded with my boot order. Follow the routine. Invoice, haul setup, return before midday. Yet another shift, another task, another cog in the relentless grind of trade. Understood, sir. Karna secures the entrance, yanking the handle repeatedly. In San Francisco, locking becomes second nature. Robbery never sleeps. You trudge uphill to your shelter. Twilight mist sweeps in from the bay, dulling the sunset hues. Chill seeps through with it. As always, those famed San Francisco summers, so unforgivingly brisk. The quip about Mark Twain's harshest winter being a local summer hasn't surfaced yet. It's 1850. He's merely Sam Clemens, toiling eastward. Still, the wit emerges from nights like this. June fog that demands a jacket. You weave past camps where fellows kindle flames for meals. Aromas of sizzling pork and stewed legumes waft everywhere. Your gut growls, protesting that morning's meager rice. Nearby, a German lady named Greta operates a eatery by your spot, dishing out links and spuds for 75 cents. Pricey, yet hearty. Satisfying. You hand over the coins and devour it al fresco, observing the town dim into evening. San Francisco sheds its daytime skin once shadows lengthen. Honest shops bolt up, shady ventures awaken. Gaming dens flicker to life like lighthouses. The El Dorado beside your pitch already shimmers under lamps. Tunes spill onto the pavement, mingled with the rustle of decks, clatter of ivories. Fellows guffaw, swear, and wager fortunes they'll regret. Taverns swing wide their portals. Working girls materialize. Vice revs up. The evening patrol commences, mostly civilians, wielding bats and glows, striving for a fragile peace. Outgunned 50-fold by the lawless. No secret there. They manage the basics. Overlook the chaos. You polish off your meal and ascend to the canvas home. Friedrich shares the space these days. William bolted 2 months back for a superior gig. He's sprawled on his pallet, boots untouched, utterly spent. At the wharf, he toils 12 hours hauling freight. $2 on busy days. Zilch otherwise. His frame's forged like a beast's, essential for such toil. Yet even powerhouses wear down. Rough one, you venture. A mere rumble in reply. That's his limit. You strike a match to your taper, mindful of the expense since wax isn't free, and retrieve your ongoing read. A loaned edition of Richard Henry Dana's 2 years before the mast from a fellow clerk. Dana voyaged from Boston to California in 1834, labored on seaside spreads, then returned. His tale hit shelves in 1840. Here you are, absorbing it in 1850 amid the landscapes he evoked. But Dana's era was serene. Sparse. A handful of Mexicans and natives on sprawling estates. Yours teems with 40,000 souls jammed into scant acres, clawing the soil for nuggets. Change hurtles in. You pore over pages in the wick's glow for perhaps 30 minutes until fatigue blurs your vision. The flame dies. Blackness engulfs the shelter. Only urban murmurs persist. Chatter from adjacent sites, strains from the El Dorado, surf pounding distant shores off Montgomery Street. And nearer, Friedrich's deep snores. He drops off like a felled tree. You stretch out on your bedding, musing on the dawn. More hours at Carna's, fresh wharf run, fresh barters and tallies, ceaseless math propping the enterprise. Far from the dream that lured you from Boston, you envisioned nuggets aplenty, quick fortune, triumphant homecoming laden with riches. Instead, you've peddled only the pans, glimpsed diggings from afar. You're accumulating wealth gradually, nickel by nickel. Through the slim differences between buying low and selling high, thanks to your knack for haggling and your habit of pinching pennies, it's not as quick as panning for gold, but far more secure. For every prospector who hits the jackpot, countless others leave empty-handed or never leave at all. You're advancing reliably. After 7 months in San Francisco, you've stashed away $280. Keep this pace, and you'll hit $1,000 within 2 years. $1,500. That's sufficient to head back east, launch a proper venture, your own store, some land. A solid existence. Assuming you last that long, your eyelids droop. Fatigue tugs at you insistently. The weariness from standing 12 hours straight, from threading through pandemonium, from remaining vigilant, cautious, and breathing. The next day will arrive before you're ready. But that's for later. For the moment, it's only this: the tense gloom, the urban clamor, the basic relief of repose. You drop into slumber like a rock plunging into a profound pool. Dawn breaks abruptly. Bells toll at 5:30. Friedrich mutters in complaint, but stays put. You haul yourself up, dash water across your face, pull on your clothes in the shadows. The daily grind feels instinctive now. No need to deliberate. You simply go through the steps. Garments fastened, boots tied. Step outside. Montgomery Street is buzzing already. The town rouses at first light. It must. Endless tasks await. Endless fortunes to chase. Endless sunlight to exploit. You arrive at Karna's shop by 5:55. He's there, predictably, buried in his ledgers. The Samuel Russell came in last evening, he announces bluntly. Wharf 17, fetch the boots. Just like before. Haul the receipt and transport back before midday. Yes, sir. The trek to the wharves feels routine these days. You've covered this ground scores of times. You recognize the safe paths. The dodgy shortcuts, the worst muck patches, the spots where Sydney ducks loiter, the docks teem with frenzy, vessels jam the bay. You spot 20 from your vantage, likely 30 others beyond, mostly clippers. Sleek speed demons designed to dash goods from New York to San Francisco in 90 days, slashing the typical 6-month slog around Cape Horn. The Flying Cloud managed it in 89 days the year before. 89 days. A benchmark probably unbeatable. The Samuel Russell anchors at Wharf 17, a stunning clipper perhaps 180 feet in length. Her masts loom over nearby structures, lines crisscrossing like webs in the dawn mist. You locate the first mate on board, a fellow Bostonian called Patterson, who knows you from prior deals. Karna's order, you explain, flashing the paperwork. Patterson scans his list. 50 cases, 6 pairs per case, totaling 300 pairs, assorted sizes. Down in the hold. The cargo bay reeks of pitch and timber, mingled with the crew's perspiration from 93 days at sea out of Boston. The boots sit piled by the forward wall, sturdy crates stamped Icarn, Montgomery Street, San Francisco. You crack open one to verify. Solid leather, robust build, the sort that could endure a full year trudging through local sludge. From Karna's books, you recall he shelled out $3 apiece at wholesale. He'll fetch $8 each on the shelf. 300 pairs times $3, $900 outlay. 300 times $8, $2,400 intake. Net gain, $1,500. $1,500 off a single boot cargo. Equivalent to 25 months of your salary, just from footwear. And Karna pulls this off non-stop. Arrivals every week bearing goods he commissioned long ago, flipped at premium before the vessels even cleared. That's the real path to wealth here, not unearthing nuggets. It's supplying the folks desperate to unearth them. You secure Patterson's mark on the receipt and set off to round up a hauler, the Mexican from the day prior. Rodrigo lingers by a cart, chatting with a fellow driver. Rodrigo, I require cartage. 50 cases of boots off the Samuel Russell to Montgomery Street. He eyes the vessel, reckons it up. $8. Steep. Sure, it's barely half a mile. But 50 loads demand real labor. His team will need several runs. $5, $7, and unloaded by 4 this afternoon. Come tomorrow, I could drop to 6, but today's 7. You run the numbers. Klarna allots $5 for hauls like this. 7 pushes you $2 past. Yet a late drop-off stalls turnover, and boots fly off shelves. Folks shred through them in mere weeks amid this terrain. The mire chews up hides quicker than seems feasible. $6. There by 2. Rodrigo tugs at his whiskers, feigning deliberation. $6.50 by 2. Agreed. You clasp hands. The goods should roll up to Klarna's rear entrance by mid-afternoon. The operation hums along once more. On the return from the wharves, you veer onto a fresh path, heading north beside the shore to Clark's Point, where the shore pokes into the inlet. You're curious about a sight you've only heard tales of, never laid eyes on personally, the derelict vessels. Then they appear, stealing your breath. Scores of them, perhaps 100, riding at anchor in Yerba Buena Cove, packed so densely their sides almost brush. Stunning ships, clippers, barks, and brigs, worth $50,000 or even $100,000 to instruct, now bobbing idly on the waves. Forsaken. Their crews had bolted the instant they docked in San Francisco. Captains, mates, and deckhands all dashed off to chase gold. They ditched those grand hulls like worthless junk. A few got repurposed. The Niantic hauled ashore onto the mud and remade as a hotel. The Euphemia transformed into storage space. The Apollo reborn as a bar. Yet the majority just languish there, timber twisting and canvas fraying. Vast riches crumbling away from sheer neglect. That's the grip of gold madness. It drives folks to forsake it all, their vessels, deals, duties, everything, just for a shot at sifting icy creeks and pawing through rocks in search of golden specks. The majority strike out, toiling endlessly, only to slink back to town with perhaps $20 worth of nuggets. Hardly enough to scrape by. Still, that flicker of hope propels them onward. The tales of big hauls, prospectors unearthing fist-sized lumps, rivers loaded so heavy with ore you could pan a fortune in no time. Such yarns are often tall tales or wild hype, or maybe spot on for one lucky soul amid 1,000 others wasting away. But wishful thinking rules the day. Then a voice cuts in nearby. Your first glimpse of the ghost fleet. You glance over. A weathered mariner around 45, slouched against a dock post, face etched by years at sea. Yeah, it's a damn shame. Quote 65. Take a look at the Ariel over there. Crafted in New York back in 1847. Quickest in the trade fleet. She blazed from Boston to San Francisco in 97 days flat. Now she's marooned, crew vanished, skipper vanished, owners likely ruined. He shakes his head sadly. I'm among the handful, maybe 20 of us sailors who stuck it out, kept my vessel and navigated her home to New York, then loaded up and returned with fresh goods. Done this voyage 4 times already. Why not join the rush to the mines? I know the score. Watched those prospectors trickle in. Beat down, ill, pockets empty. The few who hit pay dirt squander it on card sharps or crooks. The rest pour their lives into the dirt for zilch. I'm a seaman through and through. I understand these ships. I know hard labor, so I labor. Pull in $60 a month. Matches what a store clerk earns. Not riches, sure, but reliable. In a madhouse like this, reliable beats gold any day. You mull it over, your own $60 monthly wage, the gradual buildup of coin, the virtue of waiting against the reckless gamble of the fields. Wise move, you murmur, or gutless? Says who you ask. He pushes upright. Best of luck, young fella. Keep the city from chewing you up. He ambles away toward a vessel on the adjacent pier, and you never catch his name, though his warning lingers. Don't let the city eat you. 3 ounces, 2 pennyweights, 650. You're a natural at this, he remarks once the crowd thins. That's real commendation. A quiet surge of satisfaction warms you inside. The rest of the afternoon rolls on. Additional shoppers, additional deals, feeding into the steady beat that shapes your routine. When the day ends, you've offloaded 34 pairs total, $272 gross, minus $112 in costs, netting $170 from boots alone that afternoon. Factor in every vessel docking weekly with supplies that folks here crave desperately, and it clicks. This is how traders in San Francisco build their fortunes. As he secures the locks tomorrow night, Karna adds, I'm shifting you to a fresh spot, the Portsmouth Square Exchange. It's a hub where dealers convene for bartering, akin to London's Royal Exchange, but fresher and a bit wilder. Your job, pin up a sign saying we've got boots ready. Perhaps scout some bulk purchasers. The exchange, rumors of it have reached you, though you've yet to step foot inside. Understood, sir. You trudge back through the mist to your spot. Evening rituals unfold. Tonight's meal. Bread paired with cheese. Simple and fast. Then into the tent. Light the candle for your short window of respite before weariness claims you. Friedrich's already out cold. The fellow pushes himself to the brink every day. You ponder his limits. How much longer till his frame gives out, till illness strikes, till he joins the masses in the graveyard. Yet that's on him. Your focus stays on scraping by. You snuff the flame. Pitch black envelops you. San Francisco's noises fade into the hush of evening. Close by, a woman's sobs pierce the air, filtering through the thin canvas. You've stopped prying into such things. Might be sorrow, dread, or plain fatigue spilling over as weeping. This place wears souls thin. Plenty shatter under the strain. Life here demands it. You shut your eyes. Tomorrow brings the exchange. Uncharted ground, fresh hurdles. But for now, recharge. Slumber hits fast, as it does on nights like this when fatigue runs deep. Dawn chimes ring out, the familiar peals, unchanging. This morning, you stir ahead of Friedrich. The tent's icy grip surprises you still. June dawns in San Francisco, bite colder than any summer back home should allow. Your exhalations hang as vapor. The daily drill persists unaltered. Splash water on your skin. Pull on garments, tie the bootlaces, venture into the haze. Montgomery Street's a mire per usual. You've grown numb to it. The slop's woven into the scenery now. Just another toll of existence in this town. Karna's at the store when you arrive, buried in ledgers under lantern glow. Exchange kicks off at 9. He notes, head over at 9:30. Give the traders time to hunker down. Here's the plan. Quote 82. Boots, top-grade leather footwear in all sizes. At Karna General Goods on Montgomery Street. Wholesale offers invited. Competitive rates for bulk orders. Quote 83. Tack it to the bulletin board there. Quote 84. Hang around half an hour. Eavesdrop on the dealers. Note what's trading, what goods are hot, which prices are shifting. Report back with the full scoop. This feels different. Karna's not dispatching you as mere help, but as his scout, his trusted source for market whispers. Will do, sir. The hours slip by in the standard flow. Patrons after odds and ends. You shift 3 more boot pairs, 5 nail packs, 1 shovel, 50 feet of rope, a blanket, and 2 coffee tins. Every deal means haggling, figuring costs, bundling items, logging it all. At 9:20, Karna slips you the flyer plus a handful of tax. Off you go. Pick up something worthwhile. Portsmouth Square anchors the city's core, an open dirt patch roughly 200 feet square. Back in February 1850, 4 months passed. Somebody attempted seeding it with turf to mimic a real green space. The sprouts lasted a week before the endless boots crushed them flat. These days, it's bare earth, soggy sludge in wet spells, powdery grit otherwise. Yet edging the square stand the sturdiest structures around. The Parker House Hotel, a 4-story frame of wood and brick where beds run $6 nightly. The El Dorado Gambling Hall, its gaudy front and glittering chandeliers gleaming from within. The City Hotel, the Empire, and scores of others. Along the square's east side rises a fresh construction from 3 months back, the Portsmouth Square Exchange. It lacks the grandeur of back east, perhaps 40 feet across and 60 deep, with 2 floors, a wooden skeleton clad in brick on the ground level, broad windows, and a prominent sign over the door reading San Francisco Commercial Exchange. This spot draws the city's traders. Here unfolds the true commerce of San Francisco, far removed from the gold prospecting in the rugged hills, the muddy earth, or icy rivers. The genuine dealings occur within these walls, where deals for shiploads of wares seal fates, where empires rise or fall on mere nods of agreement, where the world's trade converges in a single bustling chamber. Crossing the threshold plunges you into a whirlwind of order amid disorder. The ground level forms a vast open space, roughly 30 by 50 feet. Overhead, sturdy beams support a lofty roof, while expansive panes flood the area with daylight, and it's crammed with perhaps 100 fellows in tight knots, debating fiercely, haggling, yelling queries back and forth. The din assaults you like a tangible force, voices overlapping in a frantic bid for attention. As you weave through, snippets of chatter reach your ears. Flour going for $12 a hundredweight. The Santiago pulls in Thursday, loaded with Chilean goods and vintages. Seeking takers for 300 shovels, top-grade Chinese silk. 50 rolls available. Insurers refuse to back shipments inland. It's akin to being deep in a hive where the workers have taken up global commerce. The attire here outshines anywhere else in town, save perhaps a Sabbath service. Crisp suits, spotless linens, headwear free of grime. These are the profiteers truly thriving, the gold rush victors who never once dipped a sieve. Against the distant wall looms a bulletin board plastered with postings. That's your destination. Maneuvering the throng demands cunning. All are absorbed in their exchanges, oblivious to a mere clerk slipping past the huddles. The panel bristles with announcements, incoming vessels, goods for unloading, purchase requests, sales pitches, joint ventures on offer, dubious mining stakes up for grabs, spurious cabin spots on voyages to Panama, Hawaii, China, or New York. You affix Karna's boot advertisement in a clear spot. Eyes will catch it. Perhaps a customer will stop by the shop. Possibly. As Karna advised, the true worth lies in eavesdropping, so you settle beside a support column and tune in. Nearby, 3 traders chew over flour rates. A stout fellow sporting impressively groomed sideburns gripes about the markup. $12 per hundredweight amounts to theft. Back in Boston, I shelled out 8, freight included. Even accounting for expenses, I ought to retail at 10. That's just supply meeting demand. Counters a lean, keen-faced sort around 40. With 40,000 ravenous folks in California, most grain hauled from Chile, Hawaii, or across from New York, scarce stock against voracious need drives up costs. Expect a plunge once homegrown crops hit. The third chimes in. Sacramento Valley spreads are sowing thousands of acres. In half a year, local wheat will swamp us. Half a year drags on. By then, we'll all be flush or ruined. They chuckle, yet the jest rings true. Wealth in San Francisco flips overnight. You sidle to a fresh gathering. These gents delve into maritime matters. The flying cloud holds the speed crown, shaving the New York run to 90 days. But she sacrifices hold space for velocity. Still, arriving months ahead justifies it. Early arrivals fetch top dollar, till the winds change. I've watched holds empty into a glutted bazaar. The skippers wiped out. Such is the wager, peril balanced by profit. You call it wagering? One and the same. You ease toward yet another bunch. Their talk turns darker, the Sydney Ducks growing bolder. They hit a Battery Street depot last week, hauling off 3,000 in stock. The municipal powers sit idle. What powers? A mayor and handful of councilmen convene weekly and produce zilch. Barely any lawmen to speak of. Tribunals that limp along. It's anarchy with structure, so we impose our own. Traders ought to band together, fund private watchmen, secure our blocks. Vigilante work. Call it staying alive. The exchange unnerves you. Such groups spark lynchings, folks playing judge and jury sans due process. Yet when authority crumbles, what's left? You lack a reply. A chime echoes through the hall. Chatter alters course. Some veer to an adjoining chamber. Others glance at timepieces and gather their things. You've lingered half an hour. Best head back to Karna. En route to the exit, a hand clamps your sleeve. You pivot. A fellow of about 35, sharply attired, eyes you appraisingly. You're with Karna. Statement, not query. He spotted your posting. Indeed. Sir, regarding the boots. Sizes? From 7 to 12. A few 13s. Sturdy New England hides, solidly built and able to keep water out. Retail price, $8 each. For bulk orders, you'll have to talk to Mr. Karna himself. The fellow ponders for a moment. Let Karna know that Jasper Holbrook is interested in acquiring 50 pairs. I supply the mining outfits up there. Solid footwear at a reasonable bulk rate. Count me in. I'll pass that along. Holbrook gives a quick nod and lets go of your arm, then vanishes into the throng. You've forged what could be an important link. 50 pairs at wholesale, likely $6 a pop, means $300 in sales minus $150 in costs, netting $150 profit from a single deal. And should Holbrook like them, he'll return for additional stock. That's the rhythm of commerce in this place. A single tie opens doors to others. One transaction builds bonds that fuel ongoing business. You re-enter Portsmouth Square. The fog has lifted under the morning light. The square buzzes with guys haggling over deals, gambling at cards, debating current events, hawking wares from rough stands. A vendor from China hawks oranges, fresh oranges, $1, a full dollar for a single orange. Back east in Boston, you'd pay perhaps a dime. But in this imported world of shortages, where demand jacks up everything, a buck sounds right. Nearby, A woman from Mexico offers tamales from her carry-all. Hot tamales, tamales. The aroma stirs your hunger. Breakfast was just some bread, nothing more. Yet those tamales would dip into the funds you're hoarding. You push down the urge and make for Montgomery Street. Karna's deep in talks with a buyer over a cask of nails when you get back. You hold off till the deal wraps, then fill him in on the details. Flour's going for $12 a hundredweight. The wheat crop near Sacramento could tank values come half a year. Traders are on edge about the Sydney Ducks. And this Jasper Holbrook's eyeing 50 pairs of boots at wholesale. Karna hears you out in silence. Once you're done, he gives a measured nod. Holbrook's the real deal. Handles provisioning from Sacramento. At 50 pairs, we can let 'em go for $6 each. Still a healthy margin on our end. And he'll flip them for 10 easy up in the diggings. He jots it down in his accounts book. Solid effort. You're starting to grasp the broader view. Not only the isolated trades, but the flows, the shifts, the hot items versus the slow ones, the spots ripe for gains. He meets your gaze. Plenty of clerks miss that entirely. They just handle the exchanges. Never ponder the reasons behind them. You're reflecting. Keep it up. A glow spreads through you. Satisfaction, perhaps approval. Thanks, sir. The afternoon rolls along steadily. Additional patrons, further transactions. By 3 o'clock, Jasper Holbrook shows up, and Karna seals the bulk agreement. 50 pairs of boots for $6 apiece. $300 paid out in carefully measured gold dust, stowed in Karna's secure box. Holbrook's team will cart them off tomorrow. In an instant, a tenth of Karna's boot stock is gone. Sure. The markup's slimmer than straight retail, but it's one swift exchange rather than 50 piecemeal ones, and Holbrook's the type to reorder. Bulk buyers stick around. The day eases to an end at 6 o'clock. Karna tallies the till, $530. A standout haul. His satisfaction shows in the meticulous way he updates the ledger. Sunday's tomorrow. Shops shut down. You've earned the off day. He advises against blowing your wages at the gaming dens. Won't, sir. You've steered clear of those spots, save for one quick peek. The scene left you uneasy. Fellows squandering in moments what they toiled months to claim. You trudge back to your quarters amid the dusk fog, along the usual path, past the usual muck, the usual canvas shelters and lean-tos, amid the constant odor of overcrowding in cramped quarters. Friedrich's tending the fire in the tent, warming water for coffee. He seems less worn out than typical. No labor tomorrow, he remarks in his halting English. Sunday. Perhaps we venture out, explore something different. Like what? He lifts his shoulders. Whatever's beyond the tent, beyond the docks, something fresh. You mull it over. 8 months in San Francisco now. You've taken in the business core, the rough crowds, the shanty sprawls. Yet there's plenty more to uncover. Always is. Telegraph Hill, you suggest. Folks say the vista's worth it. Friedrich agrees. Fine. We'll head out at dawn, beat the heat. You sip the coffee together, a rare treat on a Saturday night, and have bread with jerked beef for the meal. The meat's chewy as leather, demanding real effort to gnaw through, likely from some spread down south. Herds pushed to the city and slaughtered right on the shore, since alternatives are scarce. San Francisco runs on makeshift fixes, little's fully proper, yet it all holds together somehow. Post-meal. Friedrich catches you off guard. You like to try tavern. Just one ale. You weigh it. Better to stash cash, to unwind properly, to play it safe, but it's Saturday evening, you're 23, and 7 months of 12-hour grinds have worn you thin. All right, one round. The tavern's a rough-hewn building a few streets over, known as the Golden Eagle. The interior buzzes with guys knocking back drinks, chatting loudly, shuffling cards, and bickering over all sorts of topics. The atmosphere hangs heavy with the stench of pipe smoke, body odor, and ale puddles on the ground. The wooden planks underfoot cling to your boots. Behind the bar stands a hulking German fellow, his biceps resembling sturdy logs, his English mangled by a heavy accent that makes it tough to catch every word. "Why 2 beers?" he grunts, flashing a pair of fingers. 50 cents apiece. $1 altogether. That's equivalent to what he earns in a single day. A hefty sum for a casual night out. Still, when the brews show up, they're refreshingly cool and decent. Nothing spectacular. San Francisco's beer never is, hauled in from afar, or whipped up under dubious setups. But it'll do. You claim a spot against the wall and sip leisurely, scanning the crowd. Folks here are everyday workers, diggers, seamen, haulers, office types just like yourself. The big shots and moneyed types steer clear, sticking to exclusive lounges, upscale eateries, spots that demand fees and connections. This joint's for the real grit of the city, the hands-on crew who lug the goods, erect the structures, and maintain the gears of progress. Nearby, a couple of fellows heat up over state matters. California's on track for admission this year, likely come September, and views clash everywhere. We gotta join as a free state. No room for slavery. One insists. That's the California way. Liberty, fresh starts. Half the prospectors hail from down south. They'll push to legalize it. Bet we'll scrap over that for ages. Not in this town. We're cut from different cloth. Nobody rushed here chasing chains. They chase the gold. Gold twists folks in weird ways. Distance from the capital doesn't guarantee good morals. Round 2. Link. How much to our tent? 10 cents for you two. How long you been at this gig? Year, I guess. Ever since Pa died. Cholera. Ma does wash. I guide. Keeps us going. Risky business. Everything here's risky, he fires back. Beats starving. Tough to dispute that straight talk. He steers you uphill to the tent site. Familiar signs pierce the haze. The charred ruins where a structure burned down last month. The Chinese wash house venting hot vapor from its boilers. Even nearing midnight, the setup with the Norwegian siblings. Your own canvas shelter. You tip the boy an extra nickel. His face lights up. That's 50% over his fee. Much obliged, mister. He vanishes into the void. Flame dipping like a lone spark hunting fresh fares. You and Friedrich duck inside the tight space. Fogs left the fabric sodden as always. Damp seeps into your gear, bedding, pad, endless. No point in striking a light. Exhaustion hits hard. You flop down on your half of the pallet. Friedrich's out cold, rumbling snores in moments. In the pitch, your mind replays the shift. The trade floor, the traders, the chatter on bloom costs, vessel schedules, rough justice from the watchmen. You're piecing together the city's pulse, not merely the shops and deals on display, but the hidden engine, supplier webs, buyer chains, data buzzing via the market, those unseen streams of trade sustaining 40,000 souls in this brutal outpost. Karna imparts these lessons to you, perhaps unaware of the full extent. Each task he assigns, each discussion he has you witness. Each deal he allows you to manage. It's all part of your schooling. You're gaining the ability to observe, to analyze, to grasp the underlying rhythms. That insight outweighs your $60 monthly wage. You're building expertise and insight, the sort that might equip you to launch your own enterprise one day, assuming you endure long enough. Sleep eludes you this evening. Your thoughts race relentlessly. An overload of details swirls. Fragments struggle to coalesce into clarity. Beyond your window, the urban pulse persists into the night. Distant shouts echo. Tunes drift from the saloons. A hound yelps. Something topples with a thud, dropped or hurled. The city of San Francisco resists true slumber. At last, weariness prevails. Your mind eases. Your frame unwinds. Oblivion envelops you fully. Dawn on Sunday breaks overcast and chilly. Church bells toll, summoning the faithful. Yet Karna shows no interest in your chosen sanctuary. You and Friedrich prepare in silence and venture into the mist. Telegraph Hill, he inquires. Telegraph Hill it is. The trek consumes an hour, weaving past districts from orderly to forsaken. You skirt the encampments of tents, the ramshackle settlements, the charred patches left unreclaimed. You encounter Chinese laborers up and about, even on the Sabbath. They labor ceaselessly, 7 days without respite, out of necessity. Earning less than their white counterparts, they offset it with extra shifts. You spot Mexican households en route to services, ladies in their finest attire, kids polished spotless, gentlemen in tailored outfits that strain their scant funds, all striving to uphold grace, clinging to the traditions and ceremonies of distant homelands. Telegraph Hill looms at the city's northeast fringe, soaring roughly 300 feet over the bay. No true peak. San Francisco boasts only abrupt rises, not genuine mountains, yet the ascent leaves you winded. The route twists amid scrub and stones. No formal path, merely a faint path etched by prior climbers' steps. Crowning the height is the C4 station, a timber structure with semaphore flags that transmit signals. Spotting vessels nearing the Golden Gate, it dispatches alerts to the streets far below. But the semaphore isn't the true draw for the hike, it's the panorama. And upon attaining the crest, as you pivot to survey the expanse beneath, the sight steals whatever air the exertion spared. San Francisco unfolds like a living diagram. The bay unfurls to the east and north, a vivid azure beneath the emergent morning light piercing the haze. Vessels speckle the surface. You tally 30, 40, 50 in plain view from this vantage. Likely double that tally hidden offshore or obscured by ridges. The urban core sprawls over the isthmus. Montgomery Street slices through the heart of commerce. Portsmouth Square clusters with structures. Wharves jut into the waters like outstretched digits. Canvas settlements creep up adjacent slopes. Countless tarps gleam in the rays. Past the fringes, the terrain unfolds. Undulating slopes in verdant and amber hues stretch to the skyline. The Golden Gate yawns toward the Pacific, with Marin headlands opposite, and throughout, wisps of smoke rise from hearth fires, steamboats, the perpetual smolder that defines this locale. Friedrich lingers nearby, gazing intently. It is very big. Indeed, it's enormous. You attempt to number the craft in the harbor, abandon the effort near 60. There must be 100 or beyond. Every hull embodies a voyage spanning months, from New York via Cape Horn, from China over the Pacific, from Chile along the shore, from Hawaii, from every corner, all funneling here due to gold unearthed 60 miles inland. and the metropolis born of that strike, this hasty, disordered, perilous, remarkable hub, lies arrayed below like a vow that could hold or shatter. You ponder the inhabitants below, the 40,000 striving for wealth, the prospectors in the uplands, the traders on Montgomery Street, the Chinese toilers, the Mexican clans, the Sydney ducks, the prostitutes, the clerks like yourself tallying coins while yearning for better. Each contributes to this grand trial of rapid society. Can it endure? From this elevation peering downward, you truly cannot say. San Francisco might crumble by dawn. The veins of gold could dry up. Inbound vessels could cease. The 40,000 could disperse like chaff on the breeze. In 5 years, perhaps only derelict shells and echoes remain. Or the city might expand relentlessly, solidify into permanence, persist for 50 years, a century, 5 centuries, evolving into a global metropolis. From up here, either path feels plausible. Shall we descend? Friedrich wonders after perhaps 20 minutes of quiet. Just a moment longer. You wish to etch this into memory. The harbor, the vessels, the expanding cluster of canvas shelters and structures, the haze drifting up into the crisp dawn sky. At 23, you've journeyed to California chasing gold, only to stumble upon something different, a metropolis taking shape, a spot where history unfolds right before your eyes, where everything remains fluid, where triumph and catastrophe hover at arm's length. You're no longer the individual who departed Boston 8 months back. That tidy-collared office worker with his innocent aspirations has vanished, transformed into a tougher version of yourself, one who grasps that enduring demands strategy, that compassion carries a steep price, that the line separating victory from defeat frequently hinges on chance. Good or ill you can't judge, but it's undeniable. The sunlight rises further. The mist clears entirely. Unusual for this city, even during June. All right, you reply. Time to head down. The way back proves simpler than the ascent. Your limbs recall the route. The hill shrinks in the distance as you merge once more with the bustle below. In the encampment area, Sunday maintains its odd cadence. A few fellows head to services, though most skip them. Others lounge in bed, shaking off the previous evening's excesses. Some press on with labor regardless. Opportunity abounds for the motivated. You and Friedrich grab loaves and cheese from a street seller. You consume them perched on the earth near your shelter. The cheese bites tough and briny, yet it delivers sustenance. And post-hike, that's essential. Tastes fine. Friedrich mumbles through a bite. Worth the trek for the scenery? Absolutely. The day drags on lazily. You pore over pages from Dana's volume a while longer. You pen a missive to the family portraying the city in ways they could relate to, likely exaggerating the security, absolutely omitting the lynchings, the perpetual fire hazards, the sludge, the lawlessness. No reason to fret them unduly. The dispatch will sail toward Panama, then traverse the isthmus via another vessel to New York, followed by mail to Boston, perhaps 6 months or longer. When your folks finally peruse it, you'll have changed yet again. Such is the essence of separation. We're all conversing with echoes of the past. Dusk falls. You warm up beans above a modest blaze. Friedrich adds jerky. Combined, it forms a decent supper. Nearby, blazes draw other guys. One pulls out a violin and begins tuning up. The tunes are crude yet sincere. Celtic melodies, odes to distant lands, to realms far from this one. You sense the wistfulness woven through the notes. Homesickness grips everyone in San Francisco. All long for what they've abandoned: kin, companions, routine, the assurance of environments governed by known norms. Yet departures are rare. Or put differently, folks do depart. But arrivals outpace them. The urban sprawl expands. Inbound ships persist. The engine churns onward. You ponder its sustainability. This relentless expansion, this settlement erected solely on optimism, avarice, and an accidental gold strike. Impossible to predict. You're embedded in the trial, choices guided by partial data, persisting through each dawn. That's the limit of human effort. The flames dwindle. The strings fall silent. Twilight deepens to darkness. You and Friedrich retreat to the shelter. The usual shadows, the usual moisture, the usual urban murmurs from a place that scarcely rests. Monday looms next. Return to Karna's, resumption of the grind, immersion in the ceaseless trade rhythms shaping your routine. But for now, merely this: the quiet relief of repose, of adequate shelter, nourishment, security. Eyes shut, slumber greets you like a trusted companion. Time slips away, weeks melting into months. Summer yielding to fall. Mist cycles alter, downpours commence. San Francisco transforms. Not abruptly, not via any pinpointable instant, but incrementally. The locale adapts. Brick edifices multiply. Timber frames gradually give way to sturdier, lasting alternatives. Additional vessels dock. The port clogs further. Certain days from the docks you tally more than 100 crafts in sight. Crowds swell endlessly. More people. Estimates climb to 50,000, 60,000. No accurate tally exists. How does one census a hub where transients flow in and out every day? Where multitudes dwell in untracked camps? Where documentation is rudimentary at best? Karna's enterprise thrives. He annexes the adjacent store, expanding his footprint twofold, recruits a new assistant, a subdued fellow from Boston called Samuel. Your team numbers 3 now. You advance in role, unofficially. Of course, Karna avoids formalities, but practically speaking, you manage the bulk orders these days. The likes of Jasper Holbrook, the volume purchasers, pay bumps to $75 monthly, a 25% boost. You bank $50 each month. Your secret cash swells. $400, $500, $600. Substantial funds, enough to launch a venture, acquire assets, seize chances. Friedrich vanishes one morning, simply absent. You arrive to an vacated tent. His sparse belongings cleared out. No farewell, no rationale. Word comes later via another laborer from Germany. Friedrich fell ill. Dysentery took him in just 3 days. They laid him to rest in the graveyard on the town's western outskirts, under a simple wooden cross bound to crumble within a year. You'd known Friedrich for half a year, sharing that cramped tent, sipping coffee around the fire, scrambling up Telegraph Hill side by side. And now, poof, he's erased from the picture. Such is life in San Francisco. Folks waft in and out of your world like wisps of fog, solid for an instant before dissolving into nothing. Over time, you learn not to get too close, not to bank on anyone sticking around. Your latest tent companion is a Chilean miner by the name of Carlos, pushing 35, the silent type who sticks to his own company. He toils at his claim through the weekdays, then rides into town on Sundays to peddle his gold dust and stock up on gear. You pick up Spanish from him. He absorbs English in return. It unfolds organically those drawn-out nights inside the tent, gesturing at everyday items and swapping terms. Mesa for table, vela for candle, agua for water, tiny triumphs amid the whirlwind. Then November unleashes the downpours, heavy, unrelenting torrents, unlike the soft showers back east, transforming roads into raging streams. Montgomery Street turns into a quagmire. Karna refuses to shutter the shop, with shoppers sloshing through knee-high muck just to get inside. On December 10th, flames ravage the Chinese district, razing 300 structures and claiming 50 lives. The entire population mobilizes against it, chaining together bucket lines and demolishing buildings to carve out fire breaks. You join the effort, slinging water for endless hours until your muscles ache and your chest sears from the acrid haze. At last, the blaze gutters out after devouring its share of the sprawl. Within a week, reconstruction's underway. The Chinese laborers press on without a beat. No time for grief. They just shove aside the debris and resume the clamor of nails and timber. That's the pulse of San Francisco. It incinerates. It rises from the ashes. It endures. Christmas rolls in, and the city musters a half-hearted festivity. A handful of guys festoon their storefronts with fir boughs. Somebody rounds up a prayer meeting at a church. The saloons dish out complimentary booze. But for the most part, it's business as usual. More deals struck. Another night hunkered in the tent. In your letter home, you paint a picture gentle enough for your kin to grasp, glossing over the infernos, the fatalities, that perpetual brush with catastrophe hanging over every waking hour. Karna slips you a $10 bonus. Solid effort, he notes, outshines what most deliver. That $10 joins your secret cash. $650 total. In a mere 10 months, you've socked away over a full year's pay from back in Boston. Steady gains, if not the overnight fortune you envisioned sailing west. Still, it adds up. One Tuesday in January 1851, the year California steps into statehood, Karna dispatches you to the wharves for what passes as an ordinary chore. It's anything but. At Wharf 22, a throng mills about, murmuring tensely. The sparse police force San Francisco boasts keeps watch. A vessel bobs there, ordinary save for the cadavers strewn across its deck. You elbow forward for a better look. Cholera, a voice mutters. Half the voyagers gone, survivors locked in isolation. That scourge that's felled thousands here, thriving on tainted supplies, packed quarters, the sheer press of 40,000 souls, sans proper waste disposal. Word spreads. The ship's the Sarah Minerva, departed Panama 3 weeks prior with 60 aboard. By arrival, 30 had perished. The survivors teeter ill or exposed. The lone city health official spars with the skipper over next steps, anchor it offshore, release the fit ones, torch the whole thing. No one's got a solid plan. Cholera plays by its own brutal whims. From afar you observe that gnawing dread stirring again. The one every local harbors, wondering if this is the moment sickness strikes. If you'll soon join the anonymous dead in Potter's Field. Karna's delivery from another boat. It dims in urgency. You handle it on autopilot, sign the papers, hail a cart, trudge back up Montgomery Street with visions of that grim deck scorched into your thoughts. You catch sight of it. Karna probes on your return. The cholera craft. Aye, the third in as many months. It's pouring in from Panama, that swampy isthmus crossing, crowds fording fetid marshes, gulping foul drink, enduring wretched camps. They embark feverish, stagger ashore here on their last breaths. He sighs, and we're powerless against it. can't halt incoming hulls, can't vet every soul. All that's left is crossing your fingers. You stay well. Fingers crossed, sheer fortune, the sheer whim of fate deciding if you wake up breathing tomorrow. The Sarah Minerva lingers at the pier for 7 days. In time, the unscathed are permitted ashore, though unscathed is a loose term. The deceased get hasty rites in communal pits. They smoke out the hold, God knows how effective, and grant full birthing. Even so, 3 of those well ones drop dead soon after. Cholera strikes without warning. One moment you're hale and hearty at dawn, the next you're gone by dusk. Panic ripples across San Francisco just as uncontrollably as the illness. Folks shun the communal pumps, begin heating their water, steer clear of gatherings whenever possible. Yet in this teeming place, evasion is impossible. You manage to stay well. So does Carlos. Karna avoids it too. Still, the graveyard keeps growing, over and over. Come February, a change sweeps through the city's atmosphere. The chaos, the thefts, the ever-present danger. It's wearing everyone down. Right in the open on Montgomery Street, a merchant gets held up, his shop torn apart. $10,000 worth of gold dust vanishes. He identifies the culprits, a notorious crew of Sydney ducks that anyone could spot. He alerts the authorities. Nothing happens. Maybe they're intimidated, bribed, or simply swamped. Instead, the merchant takes another route. He summons a gathering in Portsmouth Square, calls on all the traders, entrepreneurs, and upright residents fed up with the law-breaking. 500 turnout. You attend. Karna dispatches you to keep an eye on things. I'm past the age for uprising talk. Quote, 113. Report back on their conclusions. Quote 114. Gentlemen, quote 115. We face a stark dilemma. We can keep watching as outlaws rampage, wrecking our livelihoods and endangering our safety. Or we step up. Quote 116. The municipal leaders sit idle. The lawmen ignore us. Thus, it's on us to move. I suggest creating a vigilance committee, ordinary people uniting to uphold order where the powers that be fall short. A voice yells, "That's vigilante lynching." Underscore, quote, underscore 118, underscore, not at all. Underscore, quote, underscore 119, underscore. It's prompt reckoning. It's signaling that wrongdoing carries a price. We'll hold proper hearings. But once culpability is proven, we'll deliver justice without hesitation. No stalling, no pleas to crooked courts, only decisive, reliable retribution. It's underway, you inform Karna. The traders are seizing the reins. He nods thoughtfully. Finally, though it'll turn messy, self-appointed justice always does. Quote 123 criminal, quote 124. I'm in trade, he explains. I deal in merchandise, politics, judgments. None of it's for me. Far too hazardous. California almost finished me off, but I'm grateful I witnessed it firsthand. Had to. You know. You get it completely. Folks have to experience it for themselves. Early in 1852, you vacate the tent for a genuine room in a boarding house, enclosed by 4 walls, a lockable door, a glass-paned window. Solitude. It strikes you as opulence. By local measures, it qualifies as such. You acquire fresh attire, quality garments, a fine suit, crisp white shirts, waterproof boots. You resemble a trader these days, no longer a mere clerk or toiler, but an entrepreneur. Folks respond to you with greater deference. Here, status clings to one's look above all else. Project Prosperity. And it's presumed real. The Vigilance Committee at last dissolves. Excessive authority, scant checks, mounting doubts over true beneficiaries. Yet its shadow lingers. The city feels more structured today, more refined, though perils and disorder persist, just dialed back from earlier frenzy. On September 9th, 1850, California joins the Union as a state. You recall the festivities, the orations, the aura of milestone achievement. These days, it's routine. California stands as a state. San Francisco reigns as its premier hub. The gold frenzy endures, but the simple strikes have vanished. Prospectors now tackle claims using hydraulic tools, massive endeavors backed by corporations. The days of lone diggers sifting creeks have largely faded. Still, the population surges, 80,000 souls, then 100,000. Proper foundations emerge. Gas lamps flicker on select avenues. A reliable fire brigade takes shape. A slew of dailies, financial institutions, inns, stages hosting legitimate dramas with seasoned performers. San Francisco evolves into a bona fide metropolis, and you contribute to its core. Beyond mere endurance, you're shaping its rise. Each sale at Carna's, every bulk bargain you seal, each choice as a stakeholder, you fuel the engine powering this place. It's June 1852, 2 years post-arrival. At 25, you stroll Montgomery Street, now lined with wooden sidewalks banishing the old muck. A placard catches your eye, halting your steps. Clipper Golden Gate, sailing from New York on July 15th. Berths open. Contact Harrison Shipping. Home beckons. Funds in hand. Status achieved. Secure a spot on that swift vessel. Voyage to Boston. Parade your triumphs before your family. Launch a venture there. Ferry in California wares. Leverage your ties, expertise, resources. You linger before the notice, lost in thought. Then you press on. Not quite. Not today. For San Francisco retains its grip on you. The vitality here, the aura of untapped potential, the conviction that history unfolds live before your eyes. Departure doesn't appeal yet. Perhaps it never will. Perhaps this city claims you as its own. Dusk drapes the streets. Back in your quarters at the Borden House, your secluded haven, your sanctuary. You peer out of the window at the mist advancing from the Pacific. 2 years, a pair of tumultuous years in the wildest urban sprawl on the planet. You've weathered infernos, plagues, lawlessness, the raw edge of mob rule, the relentless churn of trade. You've beheld fortunes forged in a flash and shattered just as quick. Watched souls labor to exhaustion for scraps. Observed humanity's heights and depths squeezed into a compact grid of grit and drive. And here you remain, not just enduring, but advancing, expanding. Come morning, you'll rise at dawn, head to the shop, weigh options on stock, rates reliable vendors. You'll haggle with bulk purchasers, oversee the staff beneath you, tackle the myriad duties sustaining the operation. But for now, only this, the enveloping fog, the town easing into its familiar patterns, the certainty that you've carved out a place for yourself. You arrived in California chasing gold. Instead, you discovered commerce, uncovered chances you never imagined, rediscovered who you are, not the person you were back when you sailed from Boston. No, a transformed version. Tougher, perhaps sharper in your dealings, yet stronger, surer, and brimming with vitality. You draw the drapes shut, ignite a lantern fueled by proper oil. No more makeshift candles. Soft glow spreads across the space. You settle at your writing table, retrieve a sheet of stationery. Compose yet another missive to the family back east. This time an honest account. Your business alliance, your achievements, the existence you've forged amid the dangers of this unforgiving metropolis that once threatened your life but ultimately reshaped it. Whether this new you surpasses or falls short of the old one, you're not equipped to judge, but it's authentic. You're authentic. This existence rings true, and dawn will break before long, bringing its rush of responsibilities, prospects, and the relentless drive that shapes San Francisco. You complete the note, fold and seal it. It'll depart on a vessel in a week's time, bearing tidings of your evolution to those who recall your former self. The flame holds steady. Mist clings to the glass panes. The urban hum drones on beyond the walls, its ceaseless melody. You stretch out on your proper bed, complete with a real mattress, not mere stuffing, and fresh linens. Reflections drift to the Odyssey from Boston, across Panama to San Francisco, from mere employee to equal stakeholder, from youth to adulthood. Only 2 years, yet they span like an era. Your lids grow heavy. Slumber nears like a trusted companion. The city's clamor recedes. The haze, the night, and the bone-deep weariness from yet another day in San Francisco, California, take hold. 1852, the frontier of the nation, the dawn of possibility. Tomorrow looms. Ever tomorrow, yet for now, tonight. Repose. Welcome it. Allow rest to claim you, as it does all who endure long enough to recline. Dim the din. Still the streets. Ease your mind until it drifts, mellows, and at last quiets. You've merited this peace. 2 years weathering trials that shatter the faint-hearted. 2 years erecting a tangible legacy from sheer resolve, fortune, and the grit to press onward. It's sufficient. More than sufficient. Sleep well.